Outplayed, one of the best poker players in the entire world right now. This is nuts!
My name's Branson. I'm a 32-year-old professional poker player, and for the last 3.5 years, I've been documenting my poker journey on YouTube. I started with only $2,000 to my name, but slowly I've been building, and thanks to you guys, I recently got sponsored to play tournaments around the entire country. For the first time in my life, I'm about to find out if I'm good enough to hang with the best of the best. And that all starts right now.
It's so cold. Headed to Atlantic City today to play in the Borgata events. Super excited. It's the Winter Poker Open. And it feels like winter. And it feels like a win. Let's go.
A few moments later.
Yo, what the heck? I just got out of an Uber. He kicked me out. He picked me up, drove me 2 blocks, and then it was like, hey, this is too far for me. What? And now I'm walking back 2 blocks. My hands are freezing off. I'm so cold. Get another Uber, but I'm going to be headed to Borgata. Oh my God, my hands are so cold. I'll see you in a little bit. So I'm heading to my room, and this is like kind of a long walk. Okay, we'll be 51, will be the next one. Staff only. The heck? Wait, oh, hold a minute. Is my room gonna be a little bigger here? I mean, this looks like, I don't wanna say it. Let's see. No. No. Yo, what? Look at this place. Oh my gosh. This bathroom is as big as a regular room. So I just found out this is the Fiore King Suite. Welcome to my King Suite. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I checked in just the right time. This is not normal for me. This is the largest hotel room I've ever stayed in. What? Ah! Bro, what? Ladies and gentlemen, we found a bag. First event, the kickoff, first bullet. Already found a bag for the new year 2025. We are 1 for 1 of cashes.
All right, things here are starting off amazing. I was filming for shorts in day 1, so we are jumping right into day 2 action here. I have 13.5 big blinds, and I pick up ace-9 suited under the gun +2. I think I could just rip it. However, I choose to open to 24K, and only the big blind calls. Heads up to a flop of 6, 5, 3, 2 diamonds. My opponent checks to me, and when I bet these low boards, I like to go a chunkier sizing, both when I have value or bluffs. So with a diamond draw and 2 overs, I bet 40,000 chips, about 60% of the pot. He folds, and I take it down. All right, an orbit goes by, and then I get king, queen of hearts in the small blind. Action folds all the way to the cutoff, who opens to 27,000 chips. I have 178K total, about 15 big blinds, and I believe the best move here is to go all in. Action folds back to my opponent. He makes the call with pocket 6s. It's a coin flip for my tournament life. I flop a king, but he flops 3 of a kind. I can't improve, and I'm out of the tournament. I want to win so bad, and it sucks losing, but still is a good start to this series. I hop into another tournament, the $1,200 mystery bounty, and 5 hours in, I've grown my stack from 40K to 87.5K. And then I pick up ace king in the low jack. Under the gun opens to 4,000, under the gun +1 calls, and action's on me. It's a pretty clear 3-bet spot, so I make it 15,000 chips. Action folds to the original raiser, he folds, but under the gun +1 calls, and we're heads up to a flop of ace 5-5. We hit our ace. I think when my opponent flats, under the guns open, and then they flat my 3-bet, he's gonna have a lot of pocket pairs, maybe some suited broadways, not a ton of aces. I go for a small c-bet of 10K, allowing him to stay in with most of those hands I mentioned, and he makes the call. The turn is the 9 of clubs. I'm not thrilled. Obviously, the flush gets there. After he checks, I decide to check back for pot control. Plus, I don't think I'm getting that much more value from weaker hands. The river is a king. It does technically improve my hand, although pretty much all the hands I was ahead of, I'm still ahead of, and hands I was behind, I'm still behind. Anyway, he checks. I think he'd bet a lot with a flush or even an ace, so I really think he's weighted toward a pocket pair. I want him to hero call with that, so I bet small 18,000. He thinks about it, but unfortunately folds, and still nice to win a pot though. After that, a few levels go by with no significant pots. The blinds are rising. We're getting closer to the money. I need more chips. And I pick up pocket fours on the big blind. The low jack opens to 8K, button calls. I call praying for a 4, and the flop comes no 4. Okay, well, I check, the low jack, he checks, but the button does not check. He bets 10K. It's time to think. I'm not so scared of the low jack. He probably would have bet if he had a queen or an overpair. The button, however, could have a queen, but I think he could also have a number of pocket pairs, possibly some bluffs as well, just trying to capitalize on the weakness of the low jack. Now myself in the big blind, I could easily be holding a queen or an 8. I'm going to try something very aggressive and go for the check raise. I raise to 30,000 chips. I'm raising into multiple opponents for a large chunk of my stack. I really need these chips. I need them to fold. The low jack folds. The button goes all in. Ah! Okay, that didn't go according to plan. Was it aggressive? Yes. Stupid? Here's the good news. I'm staying alive with shoves, getting folds, taking it down. 284 people started in this tournament. We're now down to 47, 9 away from the money. If I win one big pot, I should be able to fold my way to the money. And here it is. I pick up Jack 10 off in the big blind. The button raises to 20,000 chips. I only have 53,000. You might be thinking I'm gonna shove, which is understandable. However, my tournament life is very valuable at this point. I don't have enough chips for him to fold ever if I jam. So instead, I call to see a flop, and if I hit a pair or a draw, then I'm all in. If not, I'll live to fight another day. Flop comes out, I flop top, pair, and a draw. This is it. I go all in. 33,000 chips. My opponent doesn't snap call. That's really good. It should mean I'm ahead. It means he does not have a jack or an overpair. He ends up making the call with ace queen. No ace, no queen, and I'm making the money. Come on. Come on. Come on! 9 away from the money, I bust. It feels physically painful. Like it just hurts inside. You just... Ah! And all you can really do is pack your bags, congratulate your opponent, and move on to the next. $400 tournament, I find myself all in ace queen against ace king. Attempt 2, I try a spicy shove with jack 10 suited and run into pocket queens. Attempt 3, I flop 2 pair with 7-10 of diamonds. I check raise, he jams, I call, he has an overpair and hits a set on the turn. The problem with losing is that it starts to get into your head, you know, you just start wondering, is it me? Am I just not good enough? Pain. It's painful. It's painful, you guys. Oh, okay, so far on this tournament series, we are 1 for 5 in cashes on bullets. Soft bubble 1, and then this one just, I get it in as such a favorite. Boy. But that's poker sometimes, and we're gonna make a comeback on this series. We're gonna do it. Just count my words. Mark my words. I'm coming. This is a very special tournament. Normally there's 9 players on a poker table. In this, there's only 6. That means you can't just wait for the best hands. You have to battle. I open queen 4 of diamonds on the button. The small blind and big blind both call, and we're 3 ways to a flop of ace king 4. This flop should definitely be best for me as the pre-flop raiser. Since no one re-raised me, I'm the only one who should have the strongest aces, pocket kings, pocket aces. So when my opponents check, I bet 1,500. Unfortunately, they both call. Fortunately, the turn is one of the best in the deck, the 10 of diamonds. This gives me a flush draw and a straight draw to go along with my pair. I bet again, 5K. I'm happy if they fold, but even if they call, I have so many outs. A diamond gives me a flush. Jack gives me a straight. 4 gives me trips. Small blind folds, but the big blind calls, and the river comes. A 4! Come on! I have trips. After the big blind checks, I'm going to try to target an ace. I bet 12,000 chips. He's thinking. 40 seconds goes by. Come on, man. Call. He calls. I show. I'm good. Let's go. Big start. All right, next up, I have 3-7 of clubs in the small blind. 3-7 is not a good hand. If someone raised, I would fold, but no one raised, so here we are. Now in GTO theory land, from the small blind, the only hands you should be folding are junky offsuit hands. This tiny little blue area. Anyway, I limp this one, big blind checks, and we're heads up to a flop of 4, 5, 8, 2 clubs. Pretty amazing. Once again, I have a flush draw and a straight draw. I could definitely bet here. However, I decide to check instead. I'm going to be battling this small group of people for hours, and I want them to see just because I check, it doesn't mean I'm weak. The big blind bets 1K, and now here comes the second part of my plan. I check raise to 3K. Big blind doesn't fold yet. He makes the call, and the turn is a 3. I up the pressure. I bet 7K, nearly the size of the pot. I'm saying I have 2 pair or a straight. Anyway, it does the job. Big blind folds, and I take it down. Nothing too crazy happens in the next hour or so, and then I pick up ace 3 of clubs on the button. Blinds are now 501K. I open to 2,000 chips, and only the big blind calls. Flop comes out deuce 3, 4. Big blind checks. I decide to check back. I do have middle pair, but in general, this board shouldn't be good for me as the pre-flop raiser with all these low cards. The turn is another 4, and my opponent now bets 5K. Because I checked the flop, I did expect him to start attacking the turn quite frequently. For value, he could have a 4 or an overpair like 5s through 8s, possibly even the straight. But I do think there are a lot of bluffs. A 5 for a straight draw, diamonds for a flush draw, possibly even nothing, just making a move because I showed weakness on the flop. I beat all the bluffs, I make the call, and the river is an offsuit jack. Good. None of the draws came through. This time he bets big. 15,000 chips. This big of a bet, he's not representing 5s through 8s anymore. Really, he's saying he has a 4 or even better. I listen to my gut and make the call. He says you're good, shows queen 5 for a bluff. Let's go! All right, so I couldn't be feeling better at this point. I feel like I've played well, ran well, made the right moves, and then I pick up king 9. Button opens to 3.4K. I defend my big blind. The flop comes good, king high. I check, he bets 3.5K. In my opinion, it's a pretty easy decision with top pair. I make the call. The turn is an 8, and here's where it gets tricky. I check, and this time he bets 18,000 chips. It's over the size of the pot. Massive bet. It's scary. King 9 does not feel so good anymore. He's saying he has ace king, a set, 2 pair, something strong, but there's also a lot of draws out there, and he's a very capable player. I'm very torn. The problem is, it's not only this bet. If I call, he's probably going to bet again on the river, but that's what I end up doing. I call. The river is a 10, pretty much a brick. I check, praying he checks back, but of course he does not. He goes all in for 69,200 chips. It's almost everything I have. I started this hand as the chip leader of the table, but if I call and I'm wrong, I'll be the shortest stack on the table. My heart is absolutely pumping. I don't know what to do. Something in my gut is telling me to call, but at the same time, I can't stomach it. What if I'm wrong? What if I lose everything? Minutes go by, and then finally, I call. He flips over queen 6 for a bluff. Yes! Yes! Come on! All right, let's go. Let's keep the momentum. I pick up ace 9 on the button and open to 5K. Guy on my left calls, but this isn't just any guy. This is Brock Wilson, super pro poker player, currently ranked 17th in the entire world. He's an excellent player, far, far better than me. The question is, can I beat him today? The flop comes king 4-2, 2 spades. I go for a c-bet of 5k and he makes the call. Don't love it, but hoping for some help on the turn. A 9, an ace, a spade. But no, it is the 7 of clubs. After he checks, I decide to check back. I'm not going to continue to bluff at this with air. The river is the 10 of clubs, and now he bets 15,000 chips. It's a pretty big bet. He's saying he has a good hand. I have nothing. But I'm trying to think about this. What good hands can he have? Well, if he called my flop bet with 2 clubs, he would have the flush. It is possible, but not super likely. 2 pair also doesn't seem super likely either after he calls my flop bet. 2-7, 4-7, 2-10, 4-10. I don't know. I don't see him calling pre-flop with any of those hands. He could have king 10. Also, he could just have a king. But an aggressive player like him, I'd imagine he'd 3-bet me with a lot of his kings, his ace king, king queen, king jack. On the other hand, I could see him showing up here with missed spades. I showed a lot of weakness by checking the turn. Maybe my ace high is somehow good. I don't know. I'm back and forth. And then finally, I call. And he shows jack queen for a stone cold bluff.
You said you weren't super pro. That was super pro. That was sweat on sweat. That's a Jesus Christ.
Thank you. Dinner break update. Here we go. This is the stack that we have right now. 249,500 chips. Been battling. Super proud of my play. Just been doing my best, taking it one hand at a time. So, yep. We got some friendly faces at the table. There's Casey. We got John, also known as Goob, over here. Hey yo. All right. Gonna go fuel up. See ya.
I come back from dinner and a little while in I pick up king 10 in the small blind. Action folds all the way to me. I raise to 12k and the big blind calls. Once again, it's a very renowned opponent. This time, his name is Alexander Queen. With $3.5 million in tournament earnings, he clearly has me beat, but maybe not in this hand as we go heads up to a flop of 7, 8, 9. I have an open-ended straight draw and 2 overs, and I'm very split between what I want to do. The problem with betting is that a lot of his calling range will have connected with this board. Pairs, 2 pairs, straight draws, pair plus draws, possibly even a straight already. I think I'm going to get called or raised a lot. So instead, I choose to check. He bets 15k, about half pot. Now I can put him in a tough spot. I raise to 45k. I'm praying he folds. He only has about 100k total. So if he jams, I'm gonna have to go with it. He doesn't jam though. He also doesn't fold. He makes the call. The turn is a 5. I'm racking my brain. What does he have? I feel like his 2 pair hands just jam the flop. Is there a chance he also just has a 10 like me? A low suited 10, queen 10, king 10? I might be ahead. Either way, I'm pretty much pot committed, so I choose to be the aggressor. I go all in for his remaining 56,000 chips. And he snap calls. It's not good. He has jack 10 for the flopped straight, and I lose a big one. My stack got cut in half, but I'm not giving up. I pick up jack queen of spades in the cutoff. Low jack opens to 8k, high jack calls. I slam it with aggression. I re-raise to 30k. Both players fold. I pick up chips. Then I get pocket queens on the button. I raise to 8k. Alex 3-bets me to 24k. I 4-bet to 60k. He calls. Flop comes 5-4 deuce. I jam, he folds. And just like that, we're above 200k again. Unfortunately, after that, I go card dead for an hour. But then I look down at ace king. Action folds to the button. He limps. I'm in the small blind, definitely gonna raise it up. I make it pretty big, 25k. The big blind goes all in for 22k, less than my raise. The button makes the call, and we're 3 ways to a flop of Jack 4, 5, 2 diamonds. This pot already has almost 80,000 chips in it. Because the big blind is already all in, the button and I should have to play our cards pretty face up. There's less incentive to bluff because you still have to beat the player who's all in. Ace King is nothing. However, I do have the highest nothing, so I choose to bet 20k. If he has nothing as well, he should fold and I'll deny his equity. But he doesn't fold, he makes the call. So he must have something, probably a jack or diamonds. The turn is a king, but it is a diamond, bringing in the flush. If I bet again, I don't know if a jack will call and a flush will probably raise me. So I decide to check for pot control and he checks back. Good sign. The river is a 3. I'm pretty sure I have the best hand after he checks the turn. So I bet for value 30k, targeting a jack. He thinks about it, then makes the call. Alex shows 8-9. I show my cards. He goes to muck, but then flips over Jack 4. Jack 4! Oh, a hand I was definitely not expecting, and yeah, it's a rough one. We're getting down to the end of the day. Only 3 more people need to bust, and then we're in the money. I'm doing my best to stay alive, but I have less than 12 big blinds left now. And then I get pocket 10s. The same guy who just beat me with Jack 4 raises to 12k. Here we go. I'm all in for 70k. Maybe I can just get folds now. But no, my friend Goob calls from the small blind. He has Ace King. Pocket 10s versus Ace King. A 50-50 scenario, a coin flip. It all comes down to this hand. No ace, no king, and I make the money. Come on. One more card. Yes! Come on!
We made the money. Come on! Let's go. 6 max. Loving it. Loving it. $1,140 buy-in. We just made the money. Come on. We're going to day 2. We're going to day 2, you guys. Let's go.
You got the bag. Well, let me hold it.
All right. That's my bag.
Give me half of my chips.
Morning, you guys. Seems like a good day to win a bunch of money. The day starts off fine. I pick up a couple pots pre-flop, I lose some to blinds, and then I get 6-7 of hearts in the big blind. The button raises to 17k, and with a suited connector, I'm happy to make the call. The flop comes out 8-10-3. I have a gut shot. However, it is a pretty weak hand. If I check and he bets, I think I have to fold. I don't even have a backdoor flush possibility. I'd be drawing to just a 9. But I decide to do something unorthodox. I donk bet 25k. I don't recommend this. I'm not saying it's the right move, but I was thinking a middling type board would be pretty good for my range. Luckily this time it worked. He makes the fold and I take this one down. A little bit after that, I pick up ace queen on the button. I open to 16k, and then the small blind 3 bets to 60k. He's the chip leader, so he'll probably be more aggressive. His 3 betting range should be quite wide. It looks like a slam dunk jam for me. But then something else happens. The big blind 4 bets to 155k. Now this is a tough spot. This is the guy who had Jack 4 yesterday. He plays a lot of hands. He should also know the small blind is going to 3-bet wide when I open the button. So now he could be 4-betting wide. It's a very, very tough spot. I don't know how ace queen stacks up. There's a chance I'm still ahead of both players, or I could be flipping against 10s or jacks, or I could be behind ace king, queens, kings, God forbid aces. The thing is, if I win this pot, I'll have an insane amount of chips. It'll set me up for a super deep run. And I came to win. I'm all in, 171k. I know I'm gonna have to battle, but then the small blind, the chip leader, goes all in himself. That's terrible news. The big blind ends up folding, and I find out I'm up against pocket aces. With 505,000 chips at stake, I need a miracle. I flop a gutter. I turn a double gutter. Any 9 or king will give me the biggest pot of the day. Come on. One time. One time! '30th place out of 301 people. It's bittersweet. I feel like I played my best, battled a lot, and yeah, I couldn't be more proud, you know. We'll get them next time.